Hi, I'm Chris C., the founding director of the Cardstack Project, coming to you from the land of the Web3. A lot of community members have asked us to update the roadmap, and I'm glad to do so. One of the tricky things about roadmap is that Cardstack is a big project with many layers, protocol, frameworks, products, mobile app, web app, and when we explain our roadmap in the way we conceive of the work that we do, sometimes it's a bit more complicated. So today I'm going to go through the roadmap in a slightly new way. So we're going to try something new. We're going to try having 3 types of questions we're going to answer. I'm going to, in 1 minute, answer what you're going to get when we ship the product that's currently in progress. And then I'm going to spend 5 minutes to describe when this is going to happen throughout this year. And then only after that would I talk about the more traditional Cardstack elaboration on how we can pull off something this complicated, it's this intricate in a short time. So let's go right in. So I'm going to answer the question, what apps can I try when we ship? So the 1 minute version of the 2021 roadmap for Cardstack is simply the following. And you may have seen this already, is that we have 3 main products. CardPay, CardSpace, and Card Catalog. In Q2, which is what we're working on right now, it's been very much our focus and effort is to ship a DeFi protocol that's focused on payment so that people can pay each other at low cost using layer 2 technology from a mobile phone so that everything is seamless and is rewarding because we have an entire infrastructure of stablecoin and reward token integration so that when you pay for something, you get rewarded and the merchant gets paid. And using that infrastructure, we're going to create a web builder, a dApp builder, a decentralized version of the WordPress and Squarespace and Wix, where you can drag and drop to create on your own personal space, your own personal slice of the decentralized web, your own page. And that could represent yourself, as a creator or as a business. And on those capability, you're going to pull from, and this is something we're going to add to expand it into a big marketplace, which is you can use any cards that is available in an open source software catalog we call Card Catalog. This allows the Cardstack team to provide a set of basic cards that you can use, text, images, videos, NFTs, that you can bring into your space. But we don't imagine that will be the limit. We want people to go beyond it and have developers build new cards that represent new workflows, new invoices, new software catalog, new products that represent real-world objects, new wrapper around protocols you see, and all of those things can be designed beautifully within a cohesive experience, and you can add it and drag and drop in the card space, and then you can transact using the CardPay system. So the idea here is that the catalog and the space and the CardPay work very nicely together to provide the future decentralized web experience that's as easy, if not easier to use than the current silo, different website and different app that people have to do on the centralized web. So hopefully I hit that in 1 minute. So in 5 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about what are the milestones. What are the things that allows us to be sure that we can be able to roll this out in a gradual manner. So looking back at this particular timeline, currently we're in the middle of the CardPay project. So we're planning to do a testnet release so that we can test it and also perform security audit. We're also simultaneously building a mobile wallet for iOS first and then Android to follow. The reason we felt that we needed to do our own wallet is because the user experience of dApps is really limited because a lot of the mobile wallet, including MetaMask, is pretty hard for a new user to use, and it has requirements that you need to have ETH or have a stablecoin or know what that is or have a Coinbase account for that to be useful from the first minute onwards. So we're building a really nice onboarding services and process using Cardstack Wallet. And once we put those together and we test them, making sure that everything's working smoothly, we'll go mainnet. And that protocol will be initially available on the XDAI blockchain, but it can be expanded to other EVM compatible network relatively quickly so that we can provide a nice payment infrastructure, including rewards, earning loyalty point, earning status and badges. You can hear more about my talk on CardPay and how that works on the link below. The idea here is once we go mainnet, then we have basically a Web3 wallet and a dApp infrastructure to go and build up this ecosystem. So the next phase is to move to Cardspace, a no-code dApp builder. And we believe that we really want to get creators who are exploring crypto, trying to figure out what's after NFT. What can I do on this decentralized web beyond just flipping GIFs and stuff like that in a trading market? So we want to invite a group of people to help them understand our full vision of card space, but let them guide us on what are the initial features and card type that will make their particular space their own and useful and allow them to do the workflow they want to do. And that allows us to do a beta testing where we can take all the existing UI components and the framework and test it with a real group of users who are trying to push the envelope of what they want to do on the decentralized version of the web. And only after that, we're going to plan to do a public launch where anybody who can pay the fee to buy a membership, and obviously cardholder will get a discount and a status because card is one way that you can pay for this membership. And then you can get your own card space once you acquire the membership to be able to do everything that you can do from day one. Now, once we get to Q4, we have a set of new features planned in our head about suites of product features that instead of adding it to Cardspace as a default feature, we're going to put it in the catalog. So it's an extension. It's like a gallery, a template gallery, an additional plugin app store of sorts, so that you can see drops of different features that comes from the Cardstack team and our network of development designers that work with us. That will be pretty exciting. It's almost like new product and new music, except we're dropping new software. We want to listen to the market, see what the market wants, and then convert some of those features that may exist in different dApps or even different websites from a traditional centralized SaaS service and convert them into modular cards, add it to the catalog, and see what people do with these building blocks, this ingredient. Once we have that going, what we call the first party card, things that is built and designed by the Cardstack team or through the Cardstack kind of contracting syndicate structure, we want to really take that experience, that capability, and give it to all developers. So we've been working on a card SDK, and again, everything we've been doing so far with CardPay and CardSpace are all based on the technology behind the SDK. We'll talk a little bit more about what's in those technology stack, but we want to then, really bring this card SDK out there as a broad-based development tool. So any developer who knows JavaScript can download card SDK and building completely new type of cards derived from existing feature and extend them, so that they can submit those cards into the community's feedback and say, hey, I want to sell this card. I want to make this as part of the standard set. And we're going to create a governance, a mini DAO system with voting where we can have different rounds of competition, some of which would be, we'll give grants based on a good idea that may need a little bit of help to get through the finish line. Some of them will get immediately included in the catalog, especially if things that involve tokens and finances. We want to make sure that there's a security that goes in to make sure those cards are safe. So the submit and voting and the curation process allows us to grow the card catalog slowly and deliberately in the beginning, but once we feel like the tools are good, really expand it to be an open source marketplace that allows you to add anything to spaces and pay not only each other, but the developer a commission or royalty for giving you some great tools so you can build your space. So that's the basic idea of the timeline. So we obviously will have new releases of CardPay throughout the year, and CardSpace will be updated along the time. But thematically, Q2 is about CardPay, Q3 is about CardSpace, and Q4 is about Card Catalog and beginning to engage external and third-party development partners on the creation of the Cardstack ecosystem. All right, so Card Catalog, CardSpace, and CardPay actually dovetails a lot with the idea of how we believe we can grow the Cardstack ecosystem. So I gave a talk about a month ago about this virtuous cycle. So CardSpace is really about creating and launching new businesses and new workflows. And the way, once you launch this workflow, you use CardPay to transact with each other, to pay each other as merchants, as suppliers, as people to provide reward points. And then Card Catalog, all of this thing is built by software, and the software that runs the Cardstack ecosystem, that circulate around the circle, it's all created by a network of open source developer. Now, so this, as you can imagine, is about really helping us by the end of the year complete the virtuous cycle we've talked about, where users, customers, teams and organizations, vendors and providers, and developer designers can do what they do to keep this loop going. So more content lead to new workflows, and more workflows lead to more spending, lead to more reward and more activity to contributors, which allows them to reinvest their time to build more tools, more software that can be used to, in a no-code basis, to create even more content in this ecosystem, which is part of the decentralized web. So as you can see, our roadmap is really a way to take what looks like a really big vision, but by being really, really focused about doing kind of roughly things serially, one at a time, we're able to get to the point where we're actually completing that loop, and then we just observe and see what people are doing, what the users and customers and merchants are doing, and just reinforce them by better framework, by better development tools, by better design system, and just as a way to help people find each other and find the strength to grow this ecosystem without a whole lot of help from the Cardstack team. So let's go back to this, the roadmap discussion about how do we get here. So the how has always been the trickiest part of Cardstack to describe, because it is really, really, really deep software. So last year, when we released the roadmap, we were saying, you know what, let's explain to people in our community exactly how we think about things. So we have these like different categories of work things. What kind of use case are we trying to do? We're trying to build a decentralized SaaS platform. How do we want to host it? Well, we want to provide a standardized hosting service called Cardspace so that you don't have to go and find and run your own node. It's easy to do, even though you could take our software and do it that way. We want people to build the application, the dashboard, the workflow, the cards themselves directly with no code, creating schema as if a developer develop it. We want them to be able to share that information on a registry so that their templates, whether they're coming from a developer angle, which is JavaScript, or coming from an end user angle, which is a card that has a look and feel, you can share in a registry. And then we want to provide a set of templates, whether you're making forms, some sort of databases or collections, things that associate with crypto assets, things that have a workflow aspects of it, things that is an action to pay, to redeem, to sell, layout. You saw that from last week when we showed Cardspace, ability to drag and drop and create a whole page, and also rules, ways to automate your system. And those are templates that are derivable from this system. And to do that, to make sure all these very disparate things, right? Think about it. Each one of these things is its own website or its own SaaS service, right? Very few software on the web does more than one or two of these things. But the way we can do this is because we have this design system through a shared set of components and ability to tie together. We can actually bring all of this together as if it was just one cohesive space. And these are different objects, forms objects, asset objects that you can go and rearrange. And for developer, that same type of architecture goes all the way down where everything is just a card and it's a full stack. A card is a full stack application. You can connect the front end, the API integration, and the database all together, and you can deploy it without having to worry about all the services. And to do that, we need a platform runtime. I won't go into detail, but we are bringing a lot of full stack kind of cloud services, but in a way that's much more decentralized that you can just leverage when you're building a card and not have to worry about where do I upload this or where do I deploy it. It's part of that card ecosystem. And obviously Cardspace is always going to be a free way if you have a membership with a card membership for you to deploy it, because your card token gives you a subscription to it. But on the other hand, I also expect a world where the runtime can run within corporate for enterprise use cases or in different countries where the jurisdiction may be different. And to tie this all together, especially when there's multiple hosting provider, we need people to be able to accept the same payment. So it looks like one payment network. And that's we use the Italian card protocol and an integration of different tokens and stablecoins. So you can actually pay for a service within the network using a protocol that we define. And that protocol ties together token holders, people providing cross-honoring a membership, which is my customers who is paying me can be your customers too, because we will have a remuneration where their activity may pay a commission or get compensated from an existing pool of revenue. But this was pretty complicated, and there was a little bit of an implication in the way we draw the diagram that we somehow go through all of these features kind of linearly. And that's quite true. We begin and we iterate on this feature basically on a full stack basis across the whole thing, roughly to the side. We're right now around the side where we have figured out the workflow stuff, have a lot of workflow component, and we are beginning to work on the layout component to make sure that we are getting ready for Codespace. But that's not really how software development actually works. The way we actually work, and maybe this is good for us to just give that as a community, as a mental model, is that we basically group these technology into 4 basic kind of work area or technical work stream, as we call them. One's a design system. Cardstack, at the end of the day, is about making things cohesive from a user experience point of view, and you never achieve integration from the user point of view accidentally. Apple is a good example of that. You do not just like throw some software together and hardware together and have it work cohesively. The iOS, the iPhone, Mac OS, the App Store are all meticulously designed around this human user interface framework that Apple has such good intuition and invests so much time in. And we want to make sure that Cardstack take the same approach. So we use something called the voxel design system to define the architecture of how things assemble and can be combined and reviewed and tear apart and linked together. And we want to make sure that when things are put together, they are very smooth and you can theme it so that voxel does not require it to look like Cardstack. You can look at your brand, but still retain all of the shared components of forms collection, asset threads, action, layout, and rules. So that's the design system work. We talk about it as our voxel design system is our update, but that includes most of the work on the front end as well as in the mobile regime. The other part of Cardstack, and this is the part that is actually been a long time coming, even related to our early JavaScript work, is to create a application framework. So when you build a card and you want it to compose together, you don't need to build another backend. You don't have to find another hosting company. Cardstack, the node itself, the hosting, the hub, as we call it, contains a compiler that creates your code, a realm to store your data, a snapshot to make sure that when you link to data, that you keep a copy of it in case that other place go off. Because in the world of Google, you expect them to have everything run it at the same time. But when you're doing decentralization, you got to keep a copy for yourself, like take a screenshot of something. So we have all of that as part of Cardstack Hub. And it's a very sophisticated full stack application generator that uses the card schema so that every card that is developed by developers, whether it is internal to Cardstack or when we have the SDK more publicly available from a broader base of developer, they follow the same SDK, they derive from the base card, modify the template so it looks very nice, but that can now be brought into Calc.js, which is where it's built, it's automated, and it's distributed globally so that anybody who sees that card or encounter that card, could be a music card, a video card, can download the source code and run it very efficiently and make that part of the cohesive experience. So the application framework and design system is the cloud part of what we're doing. And the hosted service is a reality that even in the world of decentralized web, or Web3 or Ethereum or blockchain-based, you still need services to host files. You still need to have a developer onboarding tool and documentation. So we want to make sure that the set of hosted service that provide standard tools so that people can orient themselves in the ecosystem and have a place to start. Because once you have both a design system, a set of services, and an application framework that allows you to go from your developer desktop to a laptop to go and create the thing all the way to a globally distributed network, you can now think about how that interacts with the protocol era. When new protocol comes, whether it's layer 1 or layer 2, all of these protocols are so much opportunity for us to tap into its power. But how do you deal with a wallet if they have 10 wallets to access 10 networks? We want our mobile wallet to be a multi-chain wallet, to have one way, starting with the Ethereum compatible blockchain, to be able to interact with these assets as if they were just assets in a card. Who cares what network it's on? That's already been in our vision, and by producing these design system application or hosted service, we are in a much better shape of bringing in our wallet infrastructure to be able to bring that capability to the decentralized web where the experience is unified, and then if you need to pay people or you need to create token rewards, we can have protocols that we build. These are first-party protocol as well as governance protocol that helps our ecosystem grow and curate and direct towards our goal. And that's where we believe the multi-chain future can exist. Multi-chain is just multi-cloud. It's just part of the infrastructure and services we expect from the world. So these 4 work streams roughly correspond to our own team's division of work. And based on these divisions, we are able to have the technology foundation to support a set of product experiences, right? So as we saw earlier, in Q2, we focus on card pay. So this is our DeFi product. In Q3, we're going to figure out how to launch Cardspace. This is our creator crypto product, so the Web3 product. And then we're going to follow by open source catalog, a marketplace of software. All 3 things are not 3 different code bases. They are all just different set of voxel components that leverages the underlying services, framework, design system, and the protocol. And this way, when we later on say, hey, let's introduce a new types of tool for merchants. Let's say we want to introduce new type of tools for designers and other partners. We just add to this part. And then our underlying technology foundation strengthens, and then in future we can add like a card membership system, which allows you not just for Cardstack membership, but for another organization or new types of decentralized autonomous organization, or even real organization using Cardstack to run their membership system. They can now draw upon this new technology. So we can expect that this type of kind of organizational template will grow over time, whereas the bottom part, the technology foundation, will mature, will get better, and different things will get richer. The framework will get more functional. But the idea here is that we feel that the work we've done prior to Q1 of 2021 gave us most of the technology foundation we needed, that we're going to focus on a product experience-based approach so we can bring not just piecemeal, say, hey, let's launch Voxel, let's launch a wallet. No, we're going to launch a complete card pay experience, a complete web builder experience, and a complete software catalog one at a time. So that's basically what we're working on. And what's really exciting for me when we look at the work we have done in the last year and a half, especially on this particular version, is that there are still a lot of ideas that we have about making the card framework better, using better technology around CDN to make card distribution even better. A lot of the talks I've given about software distribution or about the future of payment processing can be multi-year project. But what's really cool about the moment we have is that we just feel like we have just enough parts to delight the first and second and third group of customer with the tools we have worked so hard to assemble. And the experience you're seeing with these demos, and more will keep coming, shows you that this is not something that's going to intimidate people. As people pay more attention to blockchain, maybe because of NFT, maybe because of Bitcoin and Ether prices. Either way, I want them to see themselves being a daily user of crypto product. And the only way we can do that is to build beautiful experiences that are scrumptious and that are completely delightful. And that's our goal. And we're going to do it one step at a time. We're going to delight one person at a time. And we ask for the community's help to help spread the word so that we can bring the full Cardstack vision to reality, not in software and product, which we are very close, but into the real world, into the lived experience of what does it mean to be in 2021 and be a digital citizen that wants us to take control, that this is our web, this is our internet, and we're going to build it the way we want it. So thank you very much for your time today, and I will give you more update as we get closer to the different milestones. We look for your feedback, whether in the beta program or in the invite program, to spread the word and bring this tool to the mass market. Thank you, and we'll chat again soon.